All right, so the tilling's almost done. Just want to show you that I have probably at least four to 6 inches of compressed maple leaves that I put on my garden. I try to cover it every fall, and then in the spring I rake it in and then till it in. And that's what I did over here also. And then once I could see that my garlic was starting to peek through, well, then I removed all the leaves and then put it in the main garden on top. When you saturate your garden, it'll keep all the moisture in for your roots. And even though the top will get a little bit dry, the main part of your root system will be nice and damp. And it fights weeds. And it makes a good compost all around. You know, so if you got any maple trees or birch or anything like that in your yard, when you bag it up, put it in your garden, let it sit all winter, and then till her in. I saved myself a nice little pile here. I'm going to use my lawnmower, mulch it down really fine, and then I'm going to hand till my 2 raised beds for peppers, and I'll till it all in. Then I'll put my domes on and secure the domes. That way the earth will start heating up. I like the temperature of the earth to be sitting probably above 85 Fahrenheit, if not warmer, because your pepper plants will thrive. The hotter your soil, the more plants will thrive and fruit. So, and there you go. That's just an update. And whatever you do when you have a garden, always till in the fall and then retill in the spring. That way it's not as hard on your back. All right, so all the tilling's done. Now I've been asked why I do beds rather than rows like this. Well, right now, as far as my garlic bed here, it's all rows, but I got a lot of peat moss in there. I got a lot of mulch in there. I got all my leaves in there when I tilled everything in, and it'll absorb all the water when it rains. I don't mind doing that for onions and or my garlic, but I prefer to stay away from that because every time it rains, the water will hit the mound and then just kind of drain off to the sides. And on a good rainstorm, after it stops, you come out here and all the center of your rows are dry and all your valleys are wet. And that's why I stopped doing that. But I only do, like I said, I only do rows like this for my garlic and sometimes my onions. And that helps to eliminate some root rot. But as far as everything else, I prefer beds. That way when you saturate the beds of water, it holds it better. Okay, so right now in my garden here, I have a lot of peat moss. I have a lot of leaves, fertilizer like crazy, compost like crazy, and it's all tilled in. And so right here will be my all my pickling cucumbers, gherkins, and straight eights. And then, so I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 raised beds, and that's going to be for my onions, my carrots, my beans, and the rest of my stuff that I planned last year. But also, when you till in the fall, and then you put in all your mulch, and then you till again in the spring, make sure you till deep. I like to till deep. And so right now, every bed has probably 16 or 18 inches of loft, and it's very, very soft. So when you're planting root vegetables, carrots, beets, turnip, onions, or whatever, they'll grow to a nice size. They won't have to fight against your earth because it'll just break apart while it's growing. And I prefer the beds for all that. So now it's time to go over my plan that I made last fall and see what's going to go in each of the beds. All right, so this was my plan that I made last fall. I'm still going to stick to it as best as I can, but I'm going to add beets and stuff like this in the main garden. Now, if you notice, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections, but what I did is made it a little easier for the wife and I to weed. So I made the bed smaller so that we can reach a little easier, because I know last year some of the beds were a little hard to weed because we couldn't get the center. I made them a little wide, but this time I made them a little more of a narrow bed so that we can weed from both sides. But basically this was my plan from 2022. So now I'm going to be sticking to it, but just different orders, and I might add a couple other things. But anyways, right now I got to plant my Spanish onions. So that's my next job. All right, so far in my first bed, I got half beets and then half rutabaga turnip. And then I covered it with my own mulch, my topsoil and fertilizer. And so roughly I used 2 little pouches of each. And what I do is I don't make any trenches or anything like that. I take the 2 pouches, put it in my hand, go shoulder height, and I sprinkle it in the whole half a bed. And then I grabbed the turnip and I did the same thing over there. I just opened the pack, 2 packs, put it in my hand, shoulder height, and sprinkle it all in. Now that's supposed to be 1 inch deep. So what I do is I put 1 inch of topsoil, fertilizer, and mulch on top. And that'll give me my, my cover. This one here is all my carrots. And in here, I have 4 pouches of seeds. And again, shoulder height, sprinkle it all in. And then I covered it again with the same material that I covered them. Right here is all my Spanish onions. Roughly, I don't know how many pounds are in there, probably, I'm thinking 3 pounds of seedlings. And they're roughly about 2 inches apart, all the way up, and then all the way across, and I filled it all in. And again, I covered them with the topsoil, fertilizer, mulch, and covered all the holes in. So that's what I've got so far. All my Spanish onions, nice big bed of carrots, and my rutabaga, turnip, and beets. Now again, when your beds are nice and loft and fluffy, anything that you have rooted vegetables, carrots and all that, they grow a lot better. All right, so now I got the rest of the beds to plant, but I can't plant them until the 3rd week of June. Right now, this is the 1st week of May. But everything else that's on my deck can't go in for quite a while. Lots of frost here in northern Ontario, so. But that's what I've got so far. And again, my garlic, man, it's doing wonders. All right. Anyways, thanks for joining in. Don't forget to subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. And please, leave a comment. How's your garden coming? What did you plant for 2023? Thank you very much, guys. Take care. Bye now. It rained for about 10 minutes. Just enough to coat the garden. But that's about it. Tomorrow I'll be setting up my watering system and getting ready for planting in the next 6 weeks.